The chain-link fence was 10 feet tall with razor wire at the top. It began at the front corner of the repurposed cement block warehouse in North Denver, wrapped in a neat rectangle around the side parking lot and the rear loading dock, and continued to the opposite corner of the building. Peter Ashe stepped down from the back seat of Henry Nygaard's big 4-door pickup to pull open the rolling security gate. He kept his head on a swivel, eyes chasing from the street to the fence lines to the windows and flat rooftops of neighboring buildings. He wore a decent second-hand armored vest and one of Henry's spare pistols strapped to his leg, neither one exactly hidden under an untucked flannel shirt, but not particularly visible unless someone was looking for them, which was more or less the goal. He could feel the warmth of the blacktop through the soles of his boots, and the late September sun was hot on his shoulders and the back of his neck. The waistband of his pants was damp from the sweat trickling down his back. Peter didn't mind. He'd been in hotter places wearing and carrying a lot more shit. Deacon, the driver, pulled Henry's truck through the gate. Peter closed it behind them, waved to the camera mounted high on the warehouse wall, and waited to hear the magnetic lock clang shut. It wasn't a perfect system, but it wasn't bad either. He hopped back in the pickup for the 60-meter run to the back of the warehouse, where it became clear to every member of the heavy metal protection team that their schedule was shot. As it turned out, it was the grow manager's 30th birthday, and the cultivation workers had gotten stoned out of their gourds at lunch. Someone had brought takeout tacos and a chocolate layer cake, and things had gone downhill from there. The workers sat on cheap vinyl chairs leaning back against the white-painted block wall, eyes closed, faces raised to the afternoon sun like potted plants. "You got to be kidding me," Deacon said. "Nap time? 10 to 1 says they're not ready for us." He hit the horn, and the grow manager popped out of his chair like a jack-in-the-box, standing even before he was fully awake. In the front passenger seat, Henry looked at his watch. It was big and sturdy and dependable, just like Henry. "We're okay," he said. "We'll make up time on the freeway." "Y'all are dreaming," said Banjo, the youngest. "Rush hour gonna kill us." The other men wore sidearms, too, and armored vests under light shirts. Each man also had an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, the civilian version of the M16, magazines in place but the chambers cleared, butt down in the footwell. They left the long guns in the truck unless absolutely necessary because they attracted too much attention. Peter didn't say anything. He had only worked for heavy metal protection for a few days, doing a favor for Henry. None of them wanted to do the job in the dark. They were all thinking about what had happened the week before. Peter was tall and rangy, muscle and bone, nothing extra. He had wide, knuckly hands and a lean, angular face, his dark hair long enough to cover the tips of his slightly pointed ears. He had the thoughtful eyes of a werewolf, a week before the change. Even out in the parking lot, he could smell the heady green funk of the growing plants. Henry said it was bad form to call it marijuana unless you were talking about medical marijuana, which was a legal term. For many people in the industry, the word marijuana had racist undertones from the first attempts to regulate the plant in the 1930s, when officials tied its recreational use to Mexican immigrants. The Latin name for the plant's genus was cannabis, the industry's preferred term. And it was definitely an industry. Call it weed, ganja, bud, or chronic. It made billions of dollars each year, and heavy metal protection was part of it. The company provided secure facility consulting, uniformed static guards for at-risk sites, and armed mobile protection for moving cash and product from point A to point B. The mobile protection arm was nothing like an armored car service. An armored car was a giant rolling strongbox painted in bright colors and made an excellent target. Heavy Metal's invisible late-model civilian rides had no logos. The two-person teams were armed and wore ballistic vests but no uniforms. They looked like accountants or electricians, anyone but who they were, highly trained former military personnel with a job to do. Most cannabis-related crime occurred at grow facilities because they were usually located in neglected or industrial areas where the rent was cheap and traffic minimal, and also because you could find them with your nose. Growers told their employees not to be heroes. Even if cured product was as good as cash, worth more than $1,000 a pound wholesale, 2 or 3 times that broken down for retail, nobody needed to die to protect a pound of weed. But when security was done properly, with hardened facilities, visible security measures, and varied delivery schedules, robberies were rare. Problems generally happened for one of several reasons. A security lapse, like a door left open at the end of a shift because somebody's magic brownie kicked in earlier than planned. A nighttime smash and grab on a small new facility that assumed, incorrectly, that nobody knew where that funky smell was coming from. Or something as simple as a guy walking in like he belonged, grabbing a pound or 2 of vacuum-packed product, tucking it under his arm like a football, and taking off like OJ at the airport.